Hi again, this is now the 7th video in the tutorial web scraping, which is a part of the course Digital Economy and Data Analytics. My name is Eik van Vuren, and in the previous videos we have already seen how to do web scraping, and more particular in our last video we have been looking at JSON, which is a very important element of many exercises in web scraping. However, we should realize that there are also other building blocks or other elements that are important at the moment that you would like to do web scraping, and that's especially related to the info that is related to so-called URLs, because of the fact that we should realize that many search websites use special URLs to get the information demanded from the user. And at the moment that we are, for example, going to look here at our example that we had with respect to BOVAG, then we already see that because of the fact that suppose that I would be interested in looking for not just a special Toyota, but I would like to look at all the different Toyotas, then at that moment in time I actually have to go to the following website that we have over here. It is of course the website of BOVAG itself, but then in addition to that we are going to get this auto, which is actually nothing else as Dutch for car, and then in addition to that we are also going to get well, first of all we're going to get this slash or backslash that we have over here, and then we are going to get merk, which is actually nothing else as Dutch for brand. Then we are going to get this minus sign over here, and then finally we are going to get Toyota. Question of course arises, how do I know that I actually have to use this particular website over here? Well, the answer to that is that what I simply did was I went to the search engine, I went to the website of BOVAG, I used this search engine, I asked the search engine to give me all the different Toyotas, and then I actually got directly into this website that we have over here. Take into account that that is going to be very helpful for us. And the reason behind that is because of the fact that that implies that if we're not interested in just a single Toyota, but in all of them, then we actually should in fact go to this particular website that we have over here. Well, in addition to that, we should also realize that even in the case that Toyota is not really your brand of car, then what you could do is that you could also look at other brands, of course. For example, you can look at another brand which is called Audi, and then the only thing that you actually have to do, instead of having here Toyota, you have to place here Audi instead, in order to get then in principle all the different cars that are listed on this BOVAG website that are related to this particular brand. And you can of course think of many other brands, and this is going to be helpful because of the fact that in that way we can get the brands and the cars that we in fact want to have. Take into account that this is in principle the case because of the fact that one problem that we are going to have is that, for example, if we are going back to looking at Toyotas, then we should realize that there are actually many cars listed on this BOVAG website. And more in particular, at the moment that we are only going to look at the cars that are from the brand Toyota, well, there are actually more than 7,000 of them, and they're not all listed on this single URL that we have over here. Typically, at the moment that we are going to look at a website like this, it implies that on the very first page, at the moment that we are going to go to this page that we have over here, there are a couple of cars listed, like 10, 20, or maybe 25. And then what we need to do is to scroll down and then click on usually a 2 or 3 or something like that. Depends on the page that we want to see, of course. And then we are going to get the second, third, fourth page, etc. And also those pages actually list, say, for example, 25 other cars. Question of course arises, how can we actually get those pages instead of just having the first page, which only lists, say, the first 25 cars that are from the brand Toyota? Well, in the case that we're going to look at BOVAG, at the BOVAG website, then this is actually indicated by what we call pagina. That's actually nothing else as page in Dutch, and that implies that at the moment that we, for example, would like to have the second page of Toyota, then we have to do exactly the same thing as what we have done over here. So we are going to have exactly the same URL as we have over here. But in addition to that, we are going to have a backslash, and then we are going to have pagina. Again, that is page for Dutch, page in Dutch. And then we are going to have a minus sign, and then we're going to have this 2 over here for the second page. Of course, the third page is going to give us here a 3, and for example, the 20th page is going to give us a 20 over here. So this is the way in which it actually works in this particular website. So this is going to be very helpful for us, because that implies that we can now immediately get all the information that we have from not just one particular brand, but of many, many different brands. So let's assume that we are interested in the following brands that we have listed here in this particular list, car brands that we have over here, and we're going to look at the car brand Audi. We're going to look at Ford. We have Kia over here. We have Mercedes. And finally, we are going to look also at Toyota. Then what we can do, first of all, is that we can look at an iteration, a for loop, where we create an iterator car brand over all the elements that we have in this list, car brands that we have over here. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to look for the, we are going to create another iterator, or another for loop, where we have the iterator page that is going to iterate over the first 100 pages that we have with respect to a particular, any of these brands that we have over here. Well, then the first thing that we need to do is to create, of course, the particular URL that is related to the particular page as well as the particular car brand. We can do that, but we have to be a little bit careful here. First of all, at the moment that we are in the first page, well, then the only thing that we actually need is, of course, the URL of BOVAG itself. We have to have then auto, which is again, car in Dutch. And then we need to have this merk over here, which is brand, minus sign, and then the car brand, which can either be Audi, Ford, Kia, Mercedes, or Toyota. However, we should also be careful here because of the fact that if you would like to have, say, the second page or the third page, or etc., so not page number 1, well, then we should do something else, because of the fact that then, apart from the fact that we have to have here the car brand, we also have to have here the page. So in that sense, we can manipulate here a string in such a way as I have done over here. Well, but then what we can do in order to at least see whether we have done everything correctly, we can print out the current URL after all. And then what we can do is that we can then start with a request. So we're going to create a variable called result, which is nothing else as results .get. So we're going to use the function get of requests, and we're going to request, in this case, the current URL, that which is either this one or that one that we have over here, which is a particular brand and a particular page that are based on this for loop that we have over here. Then the next thing that we can do is that then, of course, we do have the HTML, but we still would like to do something with respect to that HTML code. And we can do that by using, of course, Beautiful Soup. So then we are going to create an instance of Beautiful Soup, which is now called soup in this case. And what we're going to do is that we're going to use the content of result. So we're going to get result.content. And again, this is HTML, so therefore we need this HTML parser that we have over here. Take into account that this already is a quite good thing to do, because of the fact that now we run over all the different, say, car brands that we have listed over here. And we at least are going to run over the first 100 pages that we have with respect to these different car brands that we have over here. But take into account that running this actually takes a lot of time and bandwidth, but it doesn't do anything apart from getting the URL and loading it into an instance of Beautiful Soup. So in order to do the real, I would say, web scraping, we need to do something in addition still.